It's Daybreak on Arise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. This day's leading with the money. Naira redesign. Why Nigeria's two critical institutions must make peace. This comes as court stops the governor's arrest, and it's declared Buhari's authority required to arrest the CBN governor. Okay, now we know that. The presidential candidate of the APC, the All Progressives Congress, Tinubu, has been speaking to organized labor. Tiku Obi cannot be trusted. That's what he told them. He says he is the only one in the fight for good governance, and the others for bad governance, maybe. INEC says if attacks on our offices persist, polls may be jeopardized. And the Director General of the Obidati Campaign Council pays 13 million naira fine as he avoids prison sentence.
Oh well, let's look at Punch, the Punch newspaper. Rising attacks, vote buying, threaten polls. INEC is crying out with some riders there. Let me read them. Commission says violence may mar election, prevent presidential poll winner from emerging. Electoral body plan supplementary budget to replace destroyed buildings, equipment, and others. And IG EFCC boss warned politicians against inducement. Survey puts 33 states on vote buying watch list. And of course, you can see the picture of Donyo Okupe there. Money laundering. Okupe pays 13 million naira, escapes 2-year jail term on the top mast. That's above the nameplate of the Punch. Court stops MFLS arrest. Group backs the CBN governor. Naira redesign will affect poor Nigerians, SMEs. The bank is saying that. And FG begins 11 power projects, plans 3,730 megawatt generation. And interesting that on security, Air Force battles Zamfara terrorists, 30 bandits, soldiers killed.
The Nation newspaper. Workers to get better deal. Tinubu assures the NLC and the TUC. Petrol scarcity persists as motorists groan. Obi's campaign DG jailed 2 years for money laundering. Well, he's not been jailed. He's now paid 13 million naira, and he's not going to jail. How we will stop vote buying. The Inspector General has been revealing critical information to INEC. And bandits killed 28 in southern Kaduna.
All right, let's look at the Sun newspaper. The Sun newspaper, bold headline there. Police tighten news on vote buyers to deploy X-squad, intelligence officers, investigators to polling booths. Ugwai, Malakieri, Wike, Ibazo, Fintiri Diri, Bunedion, and a host of Moral and a host of others. OPM go Ojiku to win the Sun Award. Well, this is about Sun Awards actually, but just beside the Sun title, Ohaneze alleges incitement of North against Igbo. Debunks report that 100 Northerners were killed in the Southeast. PDP crisis will soon be over. That is coming from the Benue State Governor, Otom.
A look at the international papers. This is the Independent. Congress refers Trump for prosecution, and health officials ignored patients' claims of abuse. And this is a revelation. The NHS and Care Quality Commission have failed to respond to warnings.
All right, the I newspaper. No guarantee of ambulance for stroke or heart attack. That sounds very dangerous when you have one. So the prayer is that they will not have any. Let's go to the next paper.
The Financial Times. Twitter users vote to knock Musk off his perch. Stares new turmoil at network. And the Channel crisis. Rwanda flights ruled lawful.
The Daily Telegraph. All right. There's a plea to end strikes as NHS faces meltdown. Then we'll bring in Emmanuel Bello. Emmanuel, good morning. Good to see your face.
Indeed.
Again.
Nice to see you here.
Yeah, good. All right, let's look at this newspaper. At the bold headline, the Naira redesign, why Nigerians, two critical institutions must make peace. Two critical institutions. Court stops MFL's arrest, declares Buhari's authority required to arrest CBN governor. Frowns at use of court to cover for irregular procedure, which is unacceptable. DSS is talking tough. Top politicians, lawmakers, governors fingered in plot. All right, and of course, Okupe pays 13 million fine, avoids prison sentence. You want to look at those two stories?
Yes, actually, for me, the story that I think, and I think everyone should be talking about, is the planned arrest of the CBN governor. It's such a strange development, and when it started yesterday in the socials, I actually thought it's one of those things, but this day is zero on that, and it should be a lead story almost everywhere. The Punch chalked it up somewhere up in at least the papers we are considering. The Sun and the Nation newspaper were silent about it, but the Sun, the Punch has it somewhere. But it's the lead story of this day, and it should be worrisome that the DSS, this is a body that operates, just like they were told by the judge that, look, you operate in, your activities are a bit out of the public glare. It's clandestine. And normally you do arrest before you actually prosecute. So what's going on here? It's strange. And Kenneth, yesterday we were talking about the crisis of those withdrawal limits and all that, and how even the redesigning of those money, the Naira is actually a hit on politicians. So is this a fight back by the political class? Is it also because Emefiele had actually expressed interest in running for the presidency one time, or this is just a plain, attack? The story is suggesting that there are politicians who are no longer comfortable with Emefiele because there will just not be money for vote buying. Who are the politicians who really need money? A lot of money to buy votes. Of course, there's a place of money in all election, in all, even in Labour Party, Peter Obi's party, where they talk about not giving monies and not having structures. Whether you like it or not, you need money for logistics,
of course you do.
For advertisement, for
it is the way you use it.
You have in all elections elsewhere in the world, they actually do a lot of fundraisers. Bigger democracies where transparency is key. They talk about the huge billions, and sometimes a campaign cannot be bigger than the money it's able to attract. So there's always a place of money in campaigns and elections. But this year is different. In Nigeria, the CBN wants a cashless kind of election, or the transactional kind of thing that will not involve too much money. It's an election where the electorate will have to vote straight up from their hearts. And of course, those technologies are going to ensure that it's as transparent as it gets. So, is it that some politicians are feeling that heat, the fact that they cannot buy votes from electorate, and so they are moving against the umpire, the man at the helms of this affair? This story needs to be checked further. It needs to be studied, in a bigger way to look at what is really going on. But the courts came again handy yesterday when they said, look, you can't just pick a man who was just who was with the president just the other day. If you really needed him, he was already in plain sight. You could have just picked him, and they say, look, it lacks procedure. If you want to pick the CBN governor, you need to actually get some orders concurred of. I don't know how correct that is. Some orders from the president, his boss, the president. Does he have immunity? Do we know that for sure? But the courts are saying that it lacks procedure, and then those protesters are saying that it's all witch hunting. It's an attempt to to muzzle the CBN as an institution, and I think that's why the headline of the story is saying that I think both the DSS and the CBN will have to work together and have peace. The DSS itself is saying that, look, we're a professional body. We're not just out to witch hunt. We know what we're doing. And well, this judge is saying that if you really have those evidences, I'm not convinced that you've presented them enough, and I don't think procedures were followed in picking Emefiele.
Well, while we're looking ahead to 2023, Emmanuel, the electoral body INEC is lamenting. They're saying if attacks continue on their offices, if they persist, that polls may be jeopardized. Again, why do we not have security agencies all across INEC offices nationwide in December?
So you would think that is what should happen, Kennedy, that because the INEC offices are becoming targets for arsonists, for vandals, for those who are attacking. And I don't think that those attackers are just attacking INEC offices. They're attacking the very heart of our democracy, those elections. I think that's what they are gunning for. And now already, Mahmoud is doubling down on some of the things he has always said in the past, that, look, this is a dangerous trend if you continue to attack our facilities. In the past, they claimed that, well, those attacks will not really affect the elections, and that sensitive materials are kept very far away. It's just buildings and all that. But now it's changed a little bit. I think we see the needle moving there, with INEC now sending out very strong warnings and saying that, look, the elections will be in danger. This is something that all of us don't want to hear. Everybody wants to just get through with those elections and just get, to see what they're able to produce. The candidates are already on the stage campaigning and talking strongly about what they can do and what they can do. So a lot of people just waiting for next year. Next year is a big election year for some people. The idea of even postponement or not having them at all, I don't think anyone is really ready for that. But INEC is sounding a warning. But the good news there, Kenneth, is that the security forces, for instance, the army says it's going to do a show of force today or some other day to show that, look, they are on ground. So, but beyond the show of force, Kenneth, you are right. There should be some fortification around these facilities since they are targets, so that we don't have them happening again and again. It appears people just have a free reign. They just go there, attack INEC facilities and get away with it. We have not seen any serious arrests or any serious actions put on the ground. But now the police, the army are all saying that they are going to do a show of force to protect the facility. Also protect even election workers. And as a matter of fact, also the electorate as we head into the January deadlines for these elections.
All right, let's look at Punch. INEC, Mahmoud, you can't fault him. I mean, maybe at the beginning he was thinking, okay, we can continue, but now he's getting too much. So he has to speak up so that security agencies can get on top of their act. But you didn't get the opportunity to talk about Okupe, who has paid 13 million, escapes 2 years.
Yes, that's
2 year, because Punch also brought 2 year jail term
it's a story that
for money laundering.
Yes, that story is everywhere.
Take the story along with it. Naira redesign will affect the poor Nigerians, SMEs. A bank is saying that, and FG begins 11 power projects, plans 3,730 megawatts generation. That sounds
well. I think the Naira redesign affecting SMEs. Everyone has been talking about it. That this is this not well timed, and that there wasn't a lot of buy-in from us, from the people. It's something that a lot of people have accused the CBN for not thoroughly thinking through this idea. But of course, the extreme measure of wanting to arrest him is something else. But people have actually worried that, look, those redesign notes are going to affect SMEs, small-time businesses, especially those cash withdrawals. For instance, if you have to travel with your family, someone was reasoning the other day, will 100,000 in your pocket do that? If you have to travel by road and you have to do a whole lot of things and you have to spend money. So next year, we're going to have that whole, serious...
That's really true.
Yes. Will you actually... What about when you need emergencies? Some people say, what about payment, online payment? Those ones too have got their own crisis. And we'll see how we're going to run through what's going to happen next year. But the Okupe story is a serious one. Some people even saying that it might affect the campaign of the Obi's campaign. Already Obi spoke on it yesterday and say that will not deter him. But whether you like it or not, it leaves a very bad optics that the leader of a campaign that is seen to be, one that is preaching probity, transparency, accountability, and all of that, that is caught up in this kind of mess.
But it wasn't what happened today. It was what happened way back. I think.
Yeah, but people are bound to ask questions like, did Obi not fact check on that very well before? Because the choice of a DG, whoever you're picking to make the DG of your party, who is going to be like the very symbol of everything that your party campaign is talking about, a lot of people will expect due diligence in your choice of that kind of a person. So there are people who say that this is, of course, it's not his fault. He probably didn't know too much about it. But whether I like it or not, it's bad. Some people even suggesting that Okupe might be dropped as DG, or he would do the right thing by resigning. Whatever it is now, there's a credibility issue attached to his person and his name, and a lot of people will wonder if this does not affect the general outlook of the campaign. I'm sure at the Obi campaign, this is something that is worrisome, and they might want to do something about it.
No, I do expect him to resign, shouldn't he?
That's what he said. Or that the campaign would drop him.
Well, I don't know, but he paid 13,000 out of, you have been accused of
13 million, please.
Yes, plead again. Out of what, over 200 million. It looks like a very good one for him. If you're going to go start away 200 and something million and then just pay some not even up to a percentage of it to get away. Maybe it's good for him, but then, like I say, it's bad generally. He got away from going to jail. He got off that. But there's no way you will look at Okupe going forward and you will not look at Obi. On the other hand, it's not just good for the campaign. He's the DG of this campaign, and
the optics
at all. And when you look at it, it also, whether you like it or not, Nigerians will begin to wonder, at the way Obi is choosing his men. How is he planning? Of course, he's always said that he doesn't believe in structures. Yesterday, he knocked the word structure again. He said structure has led to 133 people, into poverty. That's what structure has done for this country. So he doesn't believe in structure. But the DG of your campaign, that's what he said. But you see, the DG of your campaign is part of your structure, and it's worrisome. So a lot, like I say, I'm sure there will be a flurry of activities that they will be campaigning this morning. They will be looking at various options. Kenneth, you say you expect him to
I do expect him to step down.
to resign. Well, that would be the honorable thing to do. That would be the high route to take. But we don't know. People don't do it in this country. Remember
people do.
Ayu was asked to resign and he didn't do it. Politicians
no, you will talk about whether Ayu's case, whether the people asking him to resign were right.
Well,
it has to do with whether they were right.
India, I'm saying that we don't have a culture of resigning. Not many people think that, okay, for the greater good and for the greater purpose or for the greater cause, let me step down. We don't have a culture of that. If Okupe does it, I think to some extent it will be some kind of redeeming redeeming quality for the party and for the campaign.
I don't know whether we have time.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, then let's look at the Trump. I don't know what you want to look at.
Before you go to Trump,
okay.
The Sun newspapers, Governor Ortam is saying that the PDP crisis will be over soon. How soon, Emmanuel?
Not even the case of how soon, but how are they going to go about it? It's Autumn. Autumn is actually some form of linchpin of this whole thing, because the contentious Ayu is from his village. I mean, it's from his place. He's one of the one of the governors saying that Ayu must go. Has he reached some kind of understanding with Ayu that Ayu will go? Because I mean, that seems to still be the centerpiece of their peace process. Ayu must step down and will work with you. They are saying we have no problem with Atiku, we have no problem with the campaign itself. We only have a problem with Ayu coming from the same demography as the presidential candidate. So what's Otom telling us? What does he know?
What has changed?
What is he saying? What has changed? But to hear him saying that, so for instance, I'm sure the PDP campaign or camp will be a bit happy with that. He's saying, look, or is it the sort of thing that Makinde likes to say, or the other ones to say that, look, we are working towards some kind of peace process. They are not telling us how, why, when, no deadline to it. And yet the time is ticking for the PDP.
And then just recently, Makinde was changed, one of the G5 governors in Osun
Yes,
State.
deep in the crisis.
Was selected. So you're wondering, where is Autumn coming from?
Exactly.
Congress refers Trump for prosecution. I'm sure you've heard the story of Trump. You want to talk about Trump?
Yes, alongside all the other things that are happening on the international stage, the crisis of those strikes in the UK. For the first time, ambulance is not going to work. There's a story, very disturbing story, in that if you have a stroke, you probably will have to use a taxi to get to the hospital. Those are very disturbing images coming. But for Trump, well, he's the comeback kid, isn't he? We don't know what will happen this time. Maybe this is the end of the road. But
comeback kid, you say? When has he come back?
No, several times.
When did he come back? Where?
Several times.
As what?
To be the cat with 9 lives, almost like the Boris Johnson saga. But we don't know whether this is the end of Trump as we know it. A poll recently showing that he's really, really lagging behind. And the midterm elections in the US suggested that, the Trump effect or the Trump power is not what it used to be. It's waning. So, and with this prosecution, facing him in the face, we're going to see for the first time, that sort of thing. But the whole attempt is to stomp Trump, especially with his 2024.
Well, is it to stop him, or for justice to be seen to be done? Anyway.
There's that, but then, of course, there's the politics too.
Well, if you play into the hand of politics, politics gets at you. Emmanuel Bello, thank you so much for being here with the press preview. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag at Arise Daybreak.